and I didn't intend to give it to. And I felt that. I felt their pain, and it turns out that all the pain that I gave them was about 10,000. Wow. I keep using 10,000 because it's like some huge, unimaginable number. And I suffered all of that, their pain, plus times 10,000. They suffered a little bit. I suffered mostly. And the voice is saying inside me without sound, I love you. I've always known you. I've always known these things about you. I've known you since you were created. I've known the long tail of your soul. I know what you were like to be a human being in this life. I love you as you are. I made you. I've always known you. I've always loved you. And I was going through this suffering of all the suffering I gave away, but I was also being, and I call it my own hell. I created my own hell. Also judged myself as shameful, not because of what I had done, because it was also shown simultaneously that it wasn't my fault that I caused pain. That's a natural outgrowth of being a human being in this world. It's just the way it is. And every human being causes pain to other human beings and to themselves. And that's just the way it is. And that's a known thing by the
100%. I believe that as well. You cause your own suffering.
I carried home to heaven with me all the love that had been given to me, and all the love that had been given away, that I gave away, is like a treasure. And somehow it helped me turn my inner eye to the holy divine, and was, I don't know, burned clean by the divine fire of purgative love. When I had no more things I did not need, it wasn't like they were bad. It was like, you don't need them, and here's how to get rid of them. And once they were gone, I was filled with this combination of truth, joy, knowledge, bliss, understanding, compassion, hope, adoration, awe, paradise. The list is long, but they weren't all separate things. They're all one thing. And the one word that I would use is to encapsulate it all. Two words: beauty and love. I was still separate.
Exactly. Beauty and love. That's what everybody says.
Okay, I was, as Genesis says, like I was an image of the divine. I wasn't the totality of the divine, but I was definitely like the divine. I was an image of it, like a subgroup of it, of the same substance, but yet less than. And I hadn't gone through the tunnel. And I said, so I haven't gone through the portal yet. Do I have to go? God's like, you don't have to go. I said, well, I've got a reason to stay. My parents were suffering. My sister had run away and vanished from our life, and broke my mom, essentially. And in the instant of a thought, we were swept across the vastness of the universe. I could see all of Earth all at once, all mountains, rivers, streams, oceans, fish, birds and animals, and trees and plants and everything. But in particular, I could see human beings. And the human beings were 7 billion of us, and everyone was covered by a singular veil.
Wow, you can see 7 billion people? Wow, that's a pretty good visual spectrum.
The veil kind of trailed over everything in the world, and the human beings couldn't see outside the veil. And the voice said to me, in the way that I love you now you know I've always loved you and will love you. And this love is, I can't tell you how rich.
Never-ending love, unconditional love.
It is. It's, any words utterly fail. It's all of the universes all put together into one black hole, like crushed out. That's how much, and that's not even enough. And no one could see it on Earth. They were all going about their daily lives, being utterly beloved, in particular by the divine, just like me. Just like I knew that I was, because I was healed and well and without suffering. I didn't have a body to suffer. I didn't have any suffering at all. And the voice said, in the way that I love you now, I've always loved you. And I love everyone in particular, including your parents, whose faces I could see in particular in the time of the world. And I could see in their souls and their faces their suffering. And I knew that from the duration.
Too much suffering going on in this world. Way too much suffering.
From the time at which I died that night to the time at which they died, their suffering would be increased exponentially. 2 kids lost. And so even though I knew that all would be well for them when they died, I chose to not let them go through that. And so I said, can I come back here? If I go back to life, can I come back here? And the voice said, yes, but we want you to stay, but you can go back. And I said, well, I can go back and help my parents. I won't suffer as much. I choose to live my life. And the voice said, you won't live your life, and send me back.
And I love in your book how you told your congregation that you don't have faith. Can you say that part real quick? Why you don't have faith in God?
Sure. So for your audience, I'm an ordained clergy person, and I served congregational churches in New England for quite a number of years, decades. And the day I came back from my death, the moment I came back, all faith was erased, all belief was erased. Came back with no belief in culture or religion or in God, because to me God is not a thing to be believed in. I know God is real. I know where I'm from. I know where I'm going. But more importantly, I know that I'm known by the knower of all, and I can't ever turn away from that. It's not something that ever shuts off. In addition to having no belief and no faith, I don't have any doubt. I am doubtless and completely unafraid of death, because I know where I'm going.
Oh, I love in your book you say that it's like you don't believe in trees and birds, like they exist.
Right, exactly. So I don't have to believe that this glass.
Wow. Those are some really cool birds.
Glass exists, and that water exists. We take it for granted. We know it exists.
Yes, water is there. It exists. It's not a mirage.
That was the same way, a similar way to which the divine presented itself, as self-evidently so.
I think it's a very important thing that a lot of people talk about when they experience this as they come back. I don't know if depressed is the right word, but a longing to go back.
I had depression that was physiological. I mean, it developed. I longed to go back so much that I immediately regretted my decision.
Wow.
By the time I started having the mental capacity to consider what I had done and the choice I had made, I made a huge mistake coming back. All I wanted to do was go home. It's like living in a two-dimensional black and white world here,
right? Compared
to multicolor, multi-sensory VR immersion there. Once you've been in that place, coming here, as beautiful as it is, and I live in an extraordinarily beautiful place on purpose, so that I can get as close to beauty as I possibly can. But even that, it's just like, oh well, that's really pretty, but not the same as ultimate divine beauty.
Yeah, I love how you said also that like sunrises are ugly. Are they still ugly, or were they just ugly for a while?
They were ugly for a while. The first year was very difficult. The very first morning after the climb, I watched the sunrise, and it was really beautiful, but not at all. It was like watching a cartoon. It was like being in a cartoon. Only I wasn't just in the cartoon, watching the cartoon. I was the cartoon. Like my body was the cartoon, and my thoughts were the cartoon, and all of my senses were the cartoon, and the cartoon was outside of me and inside of me.
Wow, that's crazy.